Morning everyone and welcome back to the vlog. Now, if you watched the last episode, I was moaning on about how cold it was, -5 degrees, chilled to the core. Well, I'm now in the Cairngorms in Rothiemurchus and it is -15 degrees, and I gotta say, it really does feel cold, but look at it. It is absolutely stunning. It's a winter wonderland out here. The trees are covered in a beautiful coating of snow, and it's just incredible being out here. We were watching the weather forecast, said that it was going to be around the sort of -14, -15 degrees, and we thought, what better place to come and just experience it? And well, it hasn't failed to deliver. I'm so looking forward to getting out there, getting some images and just exploring the forest. So let's go see what we can find. Now, we don't normally get temperatures as low as -15 degrees here in the UK. So actually to be out in it is just incredible. And one of the things that are really standing out to me, there's this build-up of snow in the trees and all of the foliage. Now, I guess they've had snow in the night, sort of several nights in a row. And then, of course, this cold air is just keeping everything just compacted onto everything that it's landed on. And you can just see behind me that build up on the branches, on the fence posts, just heaps of snow that have built up over a few nights and are just being held there by the cold air. It really is stunning. These fence posts have almost gained an extra 8 inches of height just from the snow that's compacted down over a few days. They're amazing to see. Now, I really wrapped up warm this morning. I've got 3 coats on, couple of pairs of trousers, and it is still cold. It's that kind of cold that just gets through to the bone. And but wow, isn't this incredible? You can see some of these trees are just struggling to take the weight of the snow. They're just leaning over, struggling with all that sort of build up that's happened over a series of days. And it really does create a completely different scene, as if you're in just another world. Now, I wouldn't be a landscape photographer if I wasn't mentioning the negatives of the difficulties of working in this type of environment. We're always complaining about something. If we had more mist, if we had more rain, if we had more clouds. But one of the things that I am finding really tricky is actually the snow is really melding everything in together. We're losing some of that definition. So finding scenes that really sort of stand out is quite tricky, because of course we've got this white covering of snow which is really camouflaging everything behind it. So, but I think I found a really nice scene, so I'm just going to set up the camera and I'll talk you through it. So I've got my first shot. Really what I'm trying to do is capture some of this sort of snow covering the branches and the trees, with the trees overhanging. But I do want a little bit of point of focus as well. And you can see in my image here, I've got a sort of 3 silver birches, which are just to the right hand side there. And then there's a pine right in the background, which just does give the image just something a little bit more to focus on. I don't think it's an amazing composition yet, but I think it's a great start. And I really just want to capture these branches that are cascading over with the snow covered. I've got to say, it's difficult to process your words in this temperature, and also the hands are really struggling. It's so sort of using dials and buttons is incredibly difficult, but I'm sure you've had enough of me complaining about the temperature and should be just really enjoying this incredible scenery. So what I'm going to do is take the shot. Now I'm shooting on my 24 to 70 millimeter lens, around about f13, just to make sure that I've got all of that detail in the background there. But I haven't got a polarizer on because at the moment there isn't a lot of light, so the light's just coming up from behind, so it's giving a few nice sort of shadow areas. But we've got some good strong definition from the actual trunks of the trees, which is nice in amongst the snow. But as I say, it's a great start. It's good to get that first shot in the bag. Not the prized shot of the day, I don't think, but let's get this one and then move on. So anyway, let's take the image, and here it is. So I've got myself into the sort of thick of the trees here, and what I'm trying to do is find some nice sort of trunks that I can use as some separation to the scene. And what I've found is sort of 3 silver birches that are just coming up out through the snow there, and then a branch arching over. You've got to be so careful that when you're walking around, obviously you don't disturb a lot of the snow, because you might find later on that that's actually somewhere you want to photograph. So it's working a trail through, but of course walking on this this ground, you just don't know what's below you. I've just come through a great patch of sort of bushes there and dropping down, so you've got to be ever so careful. But so what I think I'm going to do is going to set up the camera, perhaps popped on the 50mm lens, and then see if I can get a nice scene in through the trees here. So I'm just taking an image of this stunning silver birch branch that comes across. We've got sort of 3 trees on the left-hand side there, and then we've got this branch that sort of stems over with some beautiful light coming through. Now, the problem I've got is you can see that the sun's really now catching some of those trees behind, and I don't want that in there. But to capture this image, what I'm going to have to do is do a series of shots that I can stitch together so that I can create a sort of panoramic view, if you like, of this tree and branch coming down. I want to get as much detail in as possible, so by doing a series of portrait shots, maybe 5 or 6 images, just starting at this side of the tree to my left here, and then coming around to the right hand side, and then stitching those together, I'll get a real nice image. And then I should be able to crop out as much of that light on those top of those trees, those pines behind that are catching the light. But I don't know if you can see, but there's a beautiful sort of tunnel of light behind. There's a pine down the back there that's just capturing the warm light. And I don't think it's going to warm up today, so I think we've got some beautiful conditions throughout the whole day. But this really does make for a beautiful scene. I love the way that that snow is just piled up on the branches and on the twigs, and just giving it that real sort of heavy, looks like it's taking the weight of winter into its branches. So anyway, I'm going to take that shot. I can't really show you on the back of the camera because I'm doing this panoramic view, but anyway, I'll take the shot now, and here's the image. One of the things that you really need to consider when you're out in these conditions is camera gear. Batteries drain so quickly. You really need a good 3 or 4 batteries with you. Tripod legs seize up very quickly, so it's worth almost keeping your tripod legs open just so that you can get back at them. Using the dials on your camera, really tricky when your fingers are frozen, but just keeping your limbs warm is obviously essential being out here. So just coming through the trees here, you can just see that the light is just coming through there, through the silver birches, and it's giving that real golden light. I'm not sure if it's a little bit too harsh, but I'm going to set up the 70 to 200mm lens and just shoot into those trees, see if I can capture some of that golden light. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take a couple of shots. I'm going to shoot on my 70 to 200mm lens and just sort of zoom in amongst those silver birches there that are in that golden light. But then what I'm going to do is come back, put on the 24 to 70 and also capture this pine that's just to the left-hand side with these branches, which kind of frames it quite nicely. I don't know if that's going to be a little bit over-domineering, that shot. With the pine there. It might be that it just is too much of a distraction because it's quite dark. So anyway, I'll take both those shots, and my favourite one I'll put up now. Here's the image. It took a little while there to find the trail again. Of course, you sort of head off into the forest, you're photographing, you're not really sort of thinking about where you are. Everything's covered in snow, so there's no paths through. And even this path, because it's covered in snow, makes it difficult to see. But fortunately, knowing where the sun was coming up and roughly where that would lie on getting back onto the path really helped. So, and I don't think I'm going to stand under here for too much longer, just in case it comes down on my head. I can't resist a winter pathway, and this really is beautiful through here. Whenever I come down through the forest down here at Rothiemurchus, I always come away with some image of a pathway through. But what I really like about this that's really caught my eye is down at the back there, you've got these beautiful trees bending over the pathway, and then we've got a nice patch of light behind, couple of pine trees either side, left or right. Not going to sure if I'm going to include both of those just yet, because they could be a little bit distracting in the scene, quite dark trunks. But just that light pulling your eye through, down through there. The path's quite well trodden, but it really is nice. And I love a scene where your eye's just guided through and you're wondering what's off into the distance. So anyway, 24 to 70mm lens, going to set up, and I'll show you what I'm looking at on the back of the camera. So I've repositioned the camera. I really didn't like those two big pines either side. As I say, in the right light, they would have been nice and added a nice frame to the image. But when it's as white as it is now, anything dark really drags the eye in, and it's a real distraction. Whereas I want people's eyes to follow that path on the way down. So what I've done is I've pulled right in, and you can see on the back of the camera now, I've still got some trees sort of to my side. I've got a nice one just on the left here. And but what I really like is in the distance there, those trees that just branch up over the pathway, creating a tunnel with that heavy snow draped over the branches, just hanging above there. I've got to say, we've been traipsing through here, and the amount of times poor Corin and I have had snow go down the back of the neck. And you know, it makes quite a nice camera scene. Corin says, "Oh, just brush past that branch; it will look nice coming down." And it drops down your back and it's absolutely freezing. So anyway, where was I? Oh yes, back to the camera. So what I really like, we've got the path that's taking your eye down through that scene. We've got the branches that create the tunnel, which sort of guide your eye through. We've got some light down at the far end. And I really think that is a really nice winter scene that really captures the day. Okay, so I've come across another scene in the woods here, and what's caught my eye is these two silver birches that are just in this cascade of branches coming down and around, covered in snow. And I really like those dark trunks that sort of split in between. There's some really nice, interesting branches as well over to the sort of right-hand side there, which add a little bit of interest. It's a shame about there's just a branch down the bottom which is covered in snow that kind of breaks the sort of line from where they come up from, but I don't know, it's just such a stunning winter scene that I'm not really too worried about it, and I don't want to disturb any of that. So anyway, you can see I've got the trunks fairly central, coming up through some nice sweeping branches out either side, and I love that contrast. We've got some real sort of shadows and bright lights from that real cold, crispy snow. So anyway, let me take this shot, and here's the image. I really am fumbling my camera gear today. I think it's a combination of sort of a numb mind and numb fingers. I've dropped the lens cap and realised I was stood on it for a little while, and then dropped the camera without the lens on it into the snow, which thankfully, obviously this isn't a mirrorless camera and the mirror protects the actual sensor itself, so no problems there, didn't have to do any cleaning out. But whew, you really have to think about what you're doing in these temperatures. It's funny that in the last episode of the vlog, I was absolutely struggling to find subjects to photograph. We had beautiful light, beautiful mist, but just no subject. And this is the complete opposite. This is like subject overload coming down through here everywhere you look. And just seeing some of these pines draped in the snow, it's not going to last for long, so great to see. Anyway, going to keep heading down the path. I think there's a wee lochend at the end here, which I photographed before, and hopefully it's frozen over and I'll be able to get to a few places that I'm not normally able to get to. So obviously being incredibly careful. But anyway, follow the path. Let's head to the lochend. Okay, so once again I've been distracted by another scene, and I was determined to get to the lochend before getting the camera out again, but I just can't resist this. This is just a winter tunnel. You can see that we've got the silver birch just to my right hand side here that is just encrusted with snow on its branches, and again leaning right over. But there's a gate just, I don't know if you can see it on the video camera there, but there's a gate right at the end with the light just coming through down the bottom there. And it just draws you through. I mean, I'm looking forward to going down there myself, but got to get an image of this scene first. So probably put on the 24 to 70mm lens, straightforward shot, straight down the middle, just something to guide the eye through, making sure I get this beautiful sort of branches coming up over the top. And that light, it's just incredible. Hopefully I'm going to get to that lochend. It's with so many distractions along the way. You can probably tell by the way I'm talking that I'm just getting lost by things around me, not focusing for 5 minutes. And I don't know if you can see, some of the snow is just coming off the trees there. It's funny, as we came down through the forest, just as we came out of the trees, you could feel the air just warm up. Looking around, there's definitely some snow that's just sort of falling out of those trees now. The temperature tomorrow is really supposed to go up, which is why it was good to come out and capture today and to get out here, even in that minus 15 degrees centigrade. So anyway, let me get this scene and capture that tunnel of light, and then let's get back down to the lochend. So this really is an absolute stunning scene down through here. I think because of that light right at the end, it really does just sort of draw your eye through. You can see on the back of the camera how I've just managed to capture this silver birch draped over with its branches encrusted in snow coming up over the top. We've got the tunnel, the light down the bottom. I don't know if you're going to be able to see the gate right at the end there. Possibly not. I mean, I'm shooting at around about f14. I don't know whether it's enough to sort of hold that level of detail, but it doesn't matter because it's the light that's really sort of pulling the eye through. And it's funny how you sort of, something like this, just a pathway that any other day you would just walk down and you wouldn't think twice, and then the snow just transforms it and makes it a winter scene. Here's the image. Well, I've got down to the Lockham, but as you can see, that light is way too bright. We've got some blue sky now that's just starting to appear. And I don't know if you can see around me, but the snow's starting to melt from the trees. You can see it falling around. And I don't think there's an image to be had there today, but I've been so spoilt with the photography in the forest. So I couldn't be happier with the shots that we're coming away with, and it's been a spectacular day. Minus 15 degrees in the Cairngorms, highly recommend it, but wrap up warm. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the vlog. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please don't forget to hit the like button, leave me a comment below, and I think that's it. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching.